One thing you have to rest assured is the FDA is always about safety. And although these clinical trials were very fast, a lot of that is from the emergency of this virus. So these biotech companies did not do shortcuts when they were doing the clinical trials, and the FDA would never allow that to occur. Now, the advantage with this is that a lot of the red tape for the FDA has been cut. And typically with a lot of these biotechs, you see months to years between the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. In this case, they went really right from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, and they saw no problems. Because that is what is necessary to evoke a very strong immune response that's going to last you for months with this particular vaccine. But if you don't get it within the 3 weeks and you get it in the 4 or 5, you're still likely going to get the boosting effect. But without getting the booster, your immunity from this vaccine will probably be even shorter duration. Don't fully know that answer. So it's typical for like the flu vaccine, which has a much lower efficacy. So the efficacy of flu vaccine is about 50%. That you can be protected from disease, but not necessarily infection. You can still kind of spread it. With this one, we do know from primate studies that when they went back in and they swabbed the nasal flares of the primates, they don't really see any viral RNA, which is indicative that it is not replicating there. So if that translates into the human vaccines, then likely we won't be able to shed that virus. There is no live virus in this vaccine. There is in the Johnson & Johnson one, as well as the AstraZeneca one, but those have not been approved yet. So that implies that your immune system has seen it and has activated an inflammatory response. And I mean, we see the same sort of thing with other vaccines, that a little inflammation is great. So there's been some advice for like the flu vaccine not to take like Tylenol or Advil and cut down the level of inflammation, because then you're cutting down some of your immune response. Of course, you want to do that in the advice with your doctor. But whenever you get soreness, that implies that your immune system has found it. And once your immune system finds it, it will invoke a vigorous response to it. You should get the vaccine because we know for the data that's been published so far that if you are an asymptomatic individual, your immune protection to this virus can wane within 4 months. If you were to go get this vaccine, you're likely to boost that level of protection for at least another year. So that, unfortunately, is not quite known yet. Now, if you follow what you'd have with natural coronavirus infection, you would see protection for at least 6 months, if not a year. Now, Moderna has already put out their 3-month timeline. And if you were to follow the dropping trend lines in their antibodies, then it looks like people that are younger than 55 years of age will be at least have protective antibodies for at least a year. And then the elderly, if those trend lines continue to follow or fall, then you would be looking at anywhere between 8 months to a year. One of the reasons that this one has to be so cold is because, again, mRNA is very unstable. So typically in like the lab, when we store mRNA, we always store it at -80. We can't store it, or -80 degrees Celsius, which is minus 114 degrees Fahrenheit. We can't keep that in a regular freezer because it's not cold enough to preserve the mRNA. Now, the way that it's made is they have to have long-term storage in that ultra freezer, but they're able to take it out and put it on dry ice and put it on airline flights and ship it over to the US. What most of these vaccines do is they elicit a type of what we call neutralizing antibody. And that neutralizing antibody is what blocks that virus from getting in. Now, where it neutralizes the virus is in an area on the spike protein, so that long protein on the outside of the virus, that is very difficult for that virus to mutate. If that virus were to mutate it, it's not going to enter your cells as well, and it may not enter it at all. And so your protection is antibodies to that site. So you're likely, even with mutations in this virus, you're still going to see at least some level of protection. You might have the 95% efficacy drop, but it's not going to go to zero.